Good evening, everyone. This time I actually have a legitimate reason for a black screen because I had to work at night tonight and it's dark out, obviously. So it wouldn't matter if I set this thing up or not because it's dark out. So all I'm trying to do is keep myself awake at this point. I'm finally done, but I got to drive home still. And I really don't want to listen to anything. I just want to go to bed. I'm just tired because I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this shift. I'm not used to working these hours. And I only had a day. And I didn't know how to do this. It's like, man, when you got to be up late and the day before you didn't. And I'm just like, man, I'm all jacked up. So I went for a walk/hike, mostly a long walk with my wife earlier today. Just kind of try to tire myself out a little bit to where I could take like a nap and then do this thing tonight. But that didn't really work as well as I wanted it to because I wasn't able to nap. I wasn't able to fall asleep. I just kind of rested until it was time to get up and get ready and everything. So I've done that stuff before. As a matter of fact, a lot in my life I've done it, but I haven't had to do it as of recent, and it kind of sucks. It's kind of difficult. So at this point, I'm just trying to keep myself awake. But I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. You know, when you're on the road, you got a lot of time on your hands to think, and I've been thinking about a lot of stuff today. And earlier, I was feeling a little more punchy, goofy, whatever else, humorous. And I was going to try to make this a little more humorous and less serious. Because that was my plan earlier. But now I'm just tired. And so I'm just going to say it straight out just straight out. I'm calling this Hoax. And right away, I know people are going to be like, oh, not listening to this. Not interested. Not going to. We've been down this road before. Talk about this stuff too much. Hey, I get it. But I've got some new information. I've got some new stuff. At least it's new to me. Maybe not to you, but it's new to me. And so some people have been doing some research and been sharing their research with me and sending me things and, putting comments, links, or what have you, in the comments section of the videos or posts that I put up. And the reason that I'm calling this Hoax is because, honestly, I can't think of a better title other than maybe disappointment. Because some people have truly disappointed me. But who am I? They don't need to impress me, and they don't care to anyway. But it doesn't matter what I think, But just on a personal level, I took the time to share Call for an Uprisings or Hive Mind Nation, I think is the name of one of his new channels, where he really, really breaks everything down on I'm just going to call it the 9/10 event now, okay? He really breaks it down, and he really takes the time to show the people the movie magic and, and how they do these things and how they set it up and how they make it look so realistic. And it's really fascinating, to me anyway. I find it interesting because I've always kind of liked art. When I was in school, I took art classes and stuff. Was never really any good at it, but I still liked it. I kind of enjoyed it to a certain extent. But like I said, I wasn't a good artist. I just kind of, liked it. So, and I remember years ago, I don't know how many years ago, I think the movie came out in like 1986 or something. I remember a long, long time ago, there was this movie called FX. And there was two of them, actually, FX, FX2. And these movies, it was basically about a special effects movie artist very interesting film. I might have to watch it again if I can find it somewhere. Very, very good movie. I hadn't seen it in many years, and like I said, they did do a sequel as well, and had Brian Dennehy in it. I don't know if people know who he is. He's passed away now a few years ago, but he was in First Blood. He was the sheriff that wanted to basically kill Rambo in the original First Blood movie, and he was another sheriff. He usually played a bad guy in Western Silverado. If anybody's ever seen that movie, excellent movie, especially if you like westerns. And he was a bad guy in that, and then and he also was. This is what I remember him anyway. He was in Tommy Boy, the Chris Farley comedy, Tommy Boy from the '90s. Because I remember that, because I used to watch those kind of stupid films, stupid movies when I was in my 20s. Tommy Boy was always one of my favorites because it was just funny. I thought Chris Farley was funny, and I just thought the movie was funny. And Brian Dennehy was in that. He played Tommy Boy's dad, Tommy Callahan, Chris Farley's character. He played his dad. So that's that actor anyway that's in the movie of FX. And FX is really interesting because it's it's about a special effects makeup movie makeup artist kind of thing, who teams up with this cop played by Dennehy, a detective. And if I remember right, they're trying to solve a murder, try to solve a case, and try to catch a serial killer, something like that. It's been a long, long time since I've seen it, but I remember seeing the movie and it really fascinating me because it just showed how not everything is as it appears, is as it seems. And I took the time. I don't always do this because the results usually aren't good, and it wasn't good this time for the most part either. But I took the time, and pretty much everybody on my contact list got the video because I was pretty sure it was going to be taken down because it's very, very controversial. And the dude called for an uprising, Hive Mind Nation. Nobody ever knows his name. He never says it. So we just call him Call or whatever. He told people that it was going to be taken down, most likely. And I don't know if it's still up or not. So I shared several clips of it to the post so people could see the clips and watch the whole video if they wanted to. And I shared the entire video to just about everyone on my contacts list. Some people responded, most didn't. Some of the responses were positive, but some people did disappoint me. I'm not going to lie. But this is why you don't put your trust in man. Curse is the man who trusts in man, but it did disappoint me, and it kind of surprised me because they wouldn't even give it a chance because people are so set in their ways. We are all stubborn in certain ways, but some people, they just have a closed mind, and they wouldn't even give it a chance. And I could respect, if people said something like, this didn't set well with me, or doesn't set well with my spirit, or I don't agree with it. If they watched it, then I can understand that, okay? If they say that and they didn't watch it, then I'm just like, well, what didn't? And why are you saying that? But that's their choice, that whatever. Maybe they were told not to watch it. Maybe the Holy Spirit told them, don't watch this, you don't need to watch it, or whatever. I don't know. I didn't inquire further, because it's like, okay, if it doesn't set well with you, it doesn't set well with you. But, and that's fine, if that's the response. Whether you watched it or not, like I said, maybe you did, and it didn't set well with you, or maybe you didn't, maybe you watched part of it, or none of it, But when one individual actually left me an audio message, basically 5, not even 10 minutes, no later than 10 minutes for sure, after I sent this 35-minute video to me, and immediately responded. Well, first they almost immediately responded, and if I recall correctly, basically saying that they don't agree with it. I'm like, dude, you didn't even watch it. You didn't even give it a chance, okay? And then they sent me an audio message saying something like, I like conspiracy theories just as much as the next person, but I don't believe this. And I'm like, dude, you didn't even watch it, man. It's like 35 minutes long, and you're texting me at the most 10 minutes later, or sending me an audio message 10 minutes later. And this is a person that's a former police officer. And I'm just like, okay, so you're not interested. You don't want to know. You don't care to know. You've got your narrative. You've got your belief. This is what you believe. This is what you accept as your reality. Fair enough. Okay? You cannot force people to see things that they don't want to see. And everyone has that choice. But I think the evidence is very clear at this point in time for those that have done the homework, the research, they've looked into it, they've studied it, they've prayed about it, fasted, prayed about it, if they care to. If they don't care to, if they don't want to know, then fine. That's a choice. I'm interested on a personal level, like I said, because I find it fascinating. I'm also interested because I study people and I study society and I observe how people respond and react. And I have seen the response and the reaction, which is mostly very negative to this whole thing. And I believe that if people would really pray and maybe fast, but pray and seek the Holy Spirit about this and really open their eyes and their mind and their heart to things, I think that they would not only change their belief on it, but they would also, it would also maybe help them to navigate a little bit more what is happening, why it's happening. And it's going to affect us all, and it kind of already has, either directly or indirectly now. Because this is what was sent to me earlier tonight. I was on the road the majority of the night, but people sending me stuff here and there. And I find it very interesting that since this occurred, while everybody was distracted, whether did it happen, did it not happen, is it real, is it not real, what about this? What about that? Oh, did you listen to the grieving widow? Did you listen to this speech? Did you listen to this? Did you listen to that? And I know I'm sounding facetious here, but there's great reason for it. And I'm going to give people information here where if you're interested, you can research yourself and you can decide for yourself. Or you can just immediately dismiss it like the people who have disappointed me have. But like I said, you don't put your trust in man or woman or anything like that, but you just don't. And I said, they don't have to impress me or anything, and who cares whether I'm disappointed or not. I was just really kind of taken aback because I was like, wow, man, you won't even give it a shot. You won't even give it a chance. You just already are preconditioned, and this is going to be insulting, but I really don't care, stuck in the psychosis of the whole thing, like call for an uprising, we're saying, because of the preconditioning programming that we've had for so many years to trust what we see with our eyes and not go any deeper or any further, not in a physical sense and not even in a spiritual sense, and just trust what you see, and go with it from there, and because I guess people really want to believe whatever their narrative is, whatever is comfortable to them to believe. So, but this is what happened during this time. The House, I guess, House, Senate, whatever, Republicans run them both, so it doesn't really matter, if whatever. Bottom line, 51-49 vote not to release the rest of the files. That's what's happening behind the scenes while everybody's being distracted, okay? That's one of the things happening behind the scenes, okay? Another thing that's very interesting that nobody's talking about is it does appear that the guy that they roll out as supposedly the one responsible for this whole thing, well, it does appear that he and the dude that everybody's all teary-eyed over, and what a horrible tragedy and everything. They knew each other. Haven't we seen this movie before? Haven't we seen this before? Haven't we heard about this before? And you see the hand signals. If you care to research, if you care to know, if you want to know, you see the hand signals, you see the handshakes, you see the signs, you see it all. And I'm going to tell you some channels so people can look at it themselves if they want to, if they choose to. Some of these videos are short, some of them are longer. But I'm going to tell you where you can find more information if you're interested. All right? The other thing that's very interesting is it's sure this dude, this college skippy that they roll out in front of us, he sure looks a whole heck of a lot like the other patsy, Lee Harvey Oswald. Look at him. Compare the two. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he looks like him. A lot like him. Just like Taylor Swift looks like Zena LaVey, if people know who Zena LaVey is. If you don't worry about it. Research it. Study it. Find out if you want to, if you care to. All the world's a stage. All the world's a stage. Okay? And we, as the regular, so-called normal, usual people that just live in this Babylonian system, this Babylonian world, we're the victims of the whole thing. When I was talking to my wife earlier, I mentioned something to her. It just kind of came to me. We're the Bob Cratchits of society. You may lose your situation, Mr. Cratchit, if you don't stay in line kind of thing. If you don't follow the rules, if you don't do everything you're supposed to do what they told you, as Rage Against the Machine saying, you better do what they told you. Or Peter Gabriel, saying, we do what we're told on his So album. Some people are familiar, some people aren't. But, you got to stay in line. You better stay in line. You better not step out of line. You better not say anything you shouldn't say. You better not push too far. Or, there's no free speech anymore. And I'll get into that a little bit too. There's no free speech anymore. You can't say certain things. You better stay in line. Like when Ebenezer Scrooge, I know it's not that season, but this is just what came to me. When Ebenezer Scrooge, basically threatens Cratchit, Bob Cratchit, and it's just like, you'll lose your situation. Do you want to lose your situation? Basically your job, your employment, your means of providing for your family, Mr. Cratchit, if you don't step in line, if you don't stay in line. So he basically threatens his employee, that, hey, you better do everything I tell you, when I tell you, how I tell you, or you're going to lose your situation. See, this is what I don't like about this whole thing. There are positives and negatives to this. The positives are very few. The negatives are many, all right? I don't like the threats from it. That's what I don't like from this, okay? Because the more that people, how do I say this? The more that people get emotionally invested in these things, the more the threats come out. Well, if you don't believe that this really happened, or, if you do believe that it really happened, it's another division. Just like black and white, white and black, male and female, straight and gay, whatever. Blue and red, Republican, Democrat, left, right, people believe in that garbage. There's always division, and now there's more of it, and more of it, because it's gotten violent. But I'm calling this hoax because this one really threw me off. It appears the attack on the Ukrainian immigrant woman on the train station, hoax. People are like, oh, how could you say that? Oh my gosh. I fell for it too. I saw the horror on her face. I saw how she looked, like shocked and couldn't believe this was happening. Research it. It appears she's a crisis actor. It appears that she's done this before. Ukrainian immigrant, okay? It appears that she's been in other things, in other places, doing different things. crisis actors. We've seen this movie before, but people forget. Parkland, you know, the date that we just honored, you know, a couple of days ago, remembered a couple of days ago. Oh man, pick your event. Okay, we've seen this movie before. Maybe that's what I'll call it. I don't know. I still like Hoax, because Hoax seems so much more appropriate to me with everything. And I know it sounds so just negative and cynical, and you know, why can't you just get with the program? Why can't you just step in line? Why do you have to rain on everybody's parade? Just let us mourn. If you want to mourn a hoax, if you want to mourn fiction, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But I'm just trying to put it out there that maybe people want to do a little more research. Maybe they want to open their eyes and open their heart to the possibility that you've been bamboozled and hoodwinked, and this is a hoax. We all have. Like I said, I felt for the Ukrainian immigrant thing, you know, but it was another way to divide, because who was the attacker? Supposedly a black male on a white female who happened to be Ukrainian immigrant, as we were informed. Another way to divide, okay? Who is the person supposedly responsible for this? A transgender dude or whatever, you know, supposedly, allegedly, right? You know, another way to divide. See, so no matter what people believe, one way or the other, it's all about dividing and conquering, and that's all they want to do is divide people and make people hate each other for whatever reasons, and they're very successful at that. People have already been fighting and trying to kill each other, and I've seen the things where people refuse to print the poster and lose their job, you know, for the vigil, and the Secret Service agent, you know, that, you know, basically, yeah, I guess because he thought that you know, what was I gonna call him again? I can't even remember now. The dude that was allegedly shot, we'll just say it that like that, you know, as I just don't even want to mention these names. I really don't. It makes me sick. So the dude that was allegedly shot and whatever, you know, was racist. It's hard to deny that. If anybody has listened to any of his speeches, debates, things that he said, the horrific things he said about certain minority groups or whatever, Maurice Braxton from Evangelism for God, check out his channel. I don't agree with every single thing he says, but he has a lot of really good stuff out there. And it's Evangelism for God, basically all one word, capital E, and I think the rest of it is lowercase. And it's all, and there's no space between. Evangelism for God, or just type in Maurice Braxton, and you'll be able to find his channel. I share quite a few of his videos, you know, but he exposed all of this. So the negative of all of this is it is dividing everybody, no matter what they believe. It's just causing nothing but division, you know, and to the point where people are hating each other. And what if they're hating each other over a hoax? And people say, how could you say that? Research it. Research blood squib. Research. How is it that the dude gets loaded in the back of a black SUV when there's ambulances on site? EMTs, paramedics on site. Police officers, that kind of confused me. I'm like, where are the cops? Maybe they were there, maybe they weren't, you know? But I've been working, not currently, but I have worked security for a long time in my life, okay? A long time. Close to, let me think here, 2001 to about 15 years or so, okay? I've done all kinds of events, all kinds of security. There has never been a time, especially at an outdoor event, that I had performed security tasks for, where there wasn't an ambulance there. There wasn't EMTs. There wasn't paramedics. I don't care if it was anything from the Special Olympics to an all-day outdoor concert. There were always medics and ambulances available, first aid tents,
whatever it was. Always, always, always. Now, this guy wasn't a president, you know. He wasn't a famous politician or what. He didn't have a motorcade. It wasn't like the attempted Reagan assassination or anything, you know, where you got to load him in the car and load and go or whatever, and there's no ambulance readily available. Why wasn't he loaded in an ambulance? Like I said, don't hold your breath for a forensics, ballistics, or autopsy report. Don't hold your breath, folks. I'd be very shocked if any of that ever comes out. All right? So, how is it that you load this guy in the back of an SUV? There's no blood trail. If people want to look at the videos, it's like the blood's automatically dried or whatever. Yeah, if it's fake, sure. You know, but there's no blood trail, no blood underneath them, no blood trail when they're carrying the body, and loading him in an SUV. And what is it with the plane thing? If people are familiar with that, and it turns its transponder off. Was it like waiting at a private airstrip or something? I mean, what's going on here? Why is the plane, you know, why does it turn its transponder off so it can't be tracked? And why is it, you know, in transit or, you know, taking off at around the same time? I don't get it, man. There are a lot of unanswered questions here. But if people look at the blood squib and you look if it's still up, I shared several clips to it. I also shared it to the education and alert playlist, you know, and I shared it to the Substack. So if it's anywhere, it's probably in the Substack if it's still up at all. But check out Call for an Uprising. Check out Hive Mind Nation. Check out this dude. I got his channel wrong before. I called him, I think, Flat Earth Finder. I don't know where I got that from. But I think his name is Fittest, like the most fit, like Fittest, Fittest, Fittest Flat Earther. You know, check that channel out. Okay, check out Jesus is the Only Way, Green-Eyed Okie. She shared the clip about the Ukrainian immigrant woman. All right, check these channels out. Evangelism for God, Maurice Braxton, Set the Captives Free. That's a hard one to find. A lot of times I don't even get the videos. It's hidden. All right, but it's capital S-E-T and then a space between the words Set the Captives Free. Will, you know, he's putting out a lot of really good videos and information and posts about this kind of stuff. See, there are people out there that are trying to get people to open their eyes and open their heart to the truth. And why is that important? So we're not divided and people don't hate each other over stupidity. Can you imagine people hating each other over a hoax? I mean, isn't it embarrassing enough that we lower the flag to half-mast for this, and it's a hoax, and it's not even real? I mean, my gosh, the X-Files is more fact than fiction at this point. You know, I mean, it's interesting to me that all the people that were the crazies now actually look like they know what they're talking about. Bob Lazar, Dr. Stephen Greer, even the guys from Ancient Aliens, they don't look so crazy anymore. Steve Quayle, Earth in the Crosshairs DVD that I showed people a while back that they could get at Genesis6.com or whatever. People aren't looking so crazy anymore. Like I said, the X-Files looks more like fact than fiction. Heck, Star Trek looks more like fact than fiction. You know? I mean, so my point being is, all this is doing is dividing people. But there's one positive of this thing. Oh, and what's with the Brian Kilmeade thing? I never liked that weasel anyway. You know, honestly, I couldn't stand the guy. But now I know why. You know, there's billions of dollars being put into the system, you know, to help treat homeless and take care of homeless with drug problems or whatever, but people aren't taking advantage of these opportunities. So this is what he said. All right, so maybe they should just die, a lethal injection or something. Look it up for yourself. I shared it. See, so he can say that, and there's no ramifications, at least no so far. There's none. Okay, but then the Secret Service agent that basically is just like, hey, delete me now, you know. And I say the same thing. Unsubscribe if you don't want to listen to what I have to say. That's your choice. But he's like, delete me now, if you're mourning for this guy. Because, and I understand his point. Charlie, or almost, the dude, the guy, okay, he said a lot of hateful and hurtful things about minorities. Look it up, research it. Don't just be one of these people that's just like, oh, we're so sorry, His wife, give me a break, man. If people listen to that speech, give me a break. There were all kinds, watch Fittest Flat Earther, if you don't believe me. There were all kinds of symbols, and there's all kinds of things she said in that speech. Literally even said, I know he's still here with us. Yeah, he is. Because like Call said from Call for an Uprising, just call him that, he's like, yeah, the character of this individual is gone. The individual himself, he's still very much here. It's kind of like, I find this interesting because Shaking My Head Productions, that's another one. I have no idea who that guy is, but Shaking My Head Productions, wow. And the Healthy American, Peggy Hall, she pretty much said, I didn't even know it at the time, but somebody brought it to my attention. Same thing I did about the arterial blood spray, or arterial blood spurt, where was it? There was no arterial blood spurt, no arterial blood spray. Where was it? Anybody that knows anything, basic first aid, anything about the human body, anatomy and physiology, as a basic knowledge of these things, that you hit an artery, you're going to have blood spurt. You're going to have blood spray. It's going to happen. That's not what we saw. I mean, there are many, many, many things here that people just want to completely ignore, pretend like it doesn't exist because it doesn't fit their narrative or it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I guess they'd rather mourn. I guess she'd rather mourn. I laugh. Every time I saw a flag at half-mast, I'm like, this is disgusting. And I just laughed at it, at how stupid this is. Like I said, you want to put the flag at half-mast for the 22 veterans that commit suicide every day? By all means. And all the people that sacrifice their life for the benefit of others? By all means. You go for it. For this ridiculousness, for this debacle, this charade, absolutely not. It's disgusting. People can disagree, hate me, whatever, unsubscribe. I don't care. See, because free speech is important. The First Amendment is important, and they're trying to take it away. So whether people like what I'm saying or don't like what I'm saying, I have a right to say it, not only under the Constitution, but because I'm a veteran and a combat veteran at that, I have a right to say these things. Just like you have a right to not listen to it if you don't want to. But I earned that right. I did everything my country told me to do, just like any other veteran out there, whether a combat veteran or just a military veteran. You did everything your country told you to do. You didn't disrespect. You didn't dishonor. You did everything you were told to do. And then on the civilian side, as a police officer, as an EMT, and security, and all these other things, I did everything my state and my city told me to. I earned that right by getting licensed and following and taking the test and passing the test and staying licensed and following all the stupid asinine rules that we always have to follow as regular people, where the special people never have to follow the rules and they get to make their own rules. We have a right to free speech. People can listen or not listen. They can agree or not agree. But I am going to use that right for as long as I have it until they shut me down or shut me up. And this is what I'm going to do. Whatever anybody else wants to do, that's up to you. You can stay silent or you can speak out. That's your choice. But I am going to speak my mind on these things. And I find it disgusting. I find it disgusting to celebrate a hoax. I find it disgusting to mourn a hoax. It's fiction. You might as well be, mourning the death of Captain James T. Kirk. Charlie James Kirk, James Tiberius Kirk. Interesting. Watch I mentioned his name for that reason. Watch the Shaking My Head production. Very, very interesting. It's kind of like, William Shatner, the actor that played James T. Kirk for all these years, actually kind of made fun of this years ago on a Saturday Night Live skit. Pretty hilarious, actually. You know, people always go into these Star Trek conventions and everything, and they were just asking him, on episode, 83 from season 3 or whatever, that's ridiculous. There was only 83 episodes. So episode 3 from season 3, why did you make the decision you made? And he's just like, you realize I'm an actor. My name is William Shatner, or Bill. I'm an actor. All right. James T. Kirk, Captain James T. Kirk, is a fictional character on a television show. I didn't write the script. He's, what is wrong with you people? And then he starts picking them out of the crowd. It's hilarious. He goes, you over there. He goes, have you ever kissed a girl? I mean, he just starts insulting the people that go to the convention. And it's a Saturday Night Live skit. It's funny. People, look it up for yourself. I think he and Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, was in it. It was hilarious, because it's like these people get so emotionally invested and involved in stuff. Like all of these people literally crying when the witch Taylor Swift, decided that the brain dead moron Travis Kelce, was going to be her husband, and they announced their, engagement, and people are crying. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Give me a break. How pitiful and pathetic are you? I mean, get a life. But when people get emotionally invested in something that way, then they can never see the truth. And they don't want to see the truth. So they will immediately dismiss it. They won't research. They won't do any homework. They won't pray. They won't fast. They won't seek the Holy Spirit, who reveals all truth. They won't do any of that. Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. In the meanwhile, they are dividing us. People are literally fighting over this, hurting each other over this stupidity. But there's one good thing that's come out of it. That little twerp, Nick Fuentes, is finally shutting up. And if people don't know who Nick Fuentes is, picture the dude from the 10th, picture his mini-me, okay? His wannabe, his protege, for lack of a better term, where a little hateful, racist twerp that literally on his podcast makes fun of black people, African Americans, whatever people want to say, but interracial couples, and mocks, basically African Americans, black men, or whatever else. And he's a little twerp. And now he's scared for his life. So, if he wants to believe this, and it makes him scared for his life, and maybe he truly repents, because you talk about a guy that speaks blessings and curses out of the same mouth, that's him. He'll say Jesus in one sentence, and then he'll spew some racist rhetoric in the next. And the reason I know about this is from the Evangelism for God channel, Maurice Braxton, who has exposed this guy many times as being a white racist nationalist. See, people don't research. They don't do homework. They don't listen. They don't want to. They either don't take the time, they're not interested, they're too busy, or whatever else. And that, that's fine. That's a choice. But when other people are trying to put information out, like all the channels I mentioned, to at least get people to try to maybe come to a, not a conclusion necessarily, but, at least take a little bit of time to just watch something. You might actually learn. You might actually learn something you didn't know before. I guess people don't want to learn anything anymore. They're just not interested in learning anything. It's like, doesn't anything interest anybody anymore? Aren't they fascinated by anything? Don't you want to know if you've been deceived, bamboozled, hoodwinked, or would you just rather prefer to live the lie, believe the lie? I think a lot of people probably would. They just want to believe the lie. They live the lie. They don't want to research anything. They don't want to study anything. They don't want to try to figure anything out. I understand not everybody wants to be a detective. It's not their forte, and they're not interested. I also understand why people don't want to watch it, because if they believe that it's real, like me at one time, I don't really want to watch people getting killed and assassinated if it's for real. That's sick. That's like a snuff film. That's faces of death. That's disgusting. All right? But if it's fake, I don't mind, because it's like watching a stage show. It's like watching a movie. It's fictional. It's not real. It didn't happen. But nobody will know unless they actually research and study and go to the Holy Spirit and really, really seek the truth out on these things. And people, if they want to live the lie, they can live the lie. If they prefer to live the lie, if they prefer to believe the lie, that is a choice. But it's also a choice to find the truth of things. And the way I see it from a personal level, if the devil is the father of lies, then that means the Father of heaven, our Heavenly Father, is the Father of truth. And I would rather be with the Father of truth than the Father of lies. I would rather know the truth, even if it hurts, even if it's upsetting, even if it's disturbing, even if it's against my narrative or whatever else. I would rather know than to believe a lie and be bamboozled and hoodwinked and know this is a hoax. I know I seem like a heartless cynic. I get it. How could you mock this? How could you make fun? How could you laugh at the flags being at half-staff because of this tragedy and this incident? Simple. Because we don't have the flags at half-staff for other people that die. That's why. That's why. And like I said, this guy wasn't nearly as important as people think he was. He really, really wasn't. Yeah? And he's a coward. Because think about this. You're letting people believe that you're gone. All right? And they are literally fighting and killing each other. Not killing each other, I'm aware of, but probably want to. And hating each other over your dumbass. Because you're a coward. See? If you were so scared for your life, then step away. Go do something else. You're young. Go figure it out. You're already a multi-millionaire. Go do something else. You want to step out of the limelight? Fine, step out of the limelight. Don't be a coward. Don't go hide in the shadows. Don't go escaping somewhere. Be a man. You're a coward. All right? So people, oh my, I can't believe you said that. If it's a lie and if it's a hoax and you're leading people to believe that you're actually gone when you're really not, you're a coward. But if people want to believe this, don't listen to anything I have to say, unsubscribe, think I'm crazy, whatever. That is all your choice. You do whatever you want to do. Okay? I'm just trying to help people to see this before people start literally killing each other over this idiot, over this ridiculousness, over this insanity. Like I said, Nick Fuentes shutting up, that is the one good thing from this that has occurred from this. Him running for his life and being scared for his life, good. Repent, Nick. Okay? Because you are a hateful, racist little twerp. So repent. And if this is what it takes for you to be so scared, because they might come after you next, or any other hateful, racist, so-called conservative commentator out there, some white nationalist fool, that preaches some false gospel and, is a spokesperson for whatever new bowel movement comes down the road, then good. Repent. Become a man. Repent. Apologize. Make public apologies. Tell people that you're sorry that you were such a hateful, racist little twerp. I mean, come on. Seriously. Am I that far off base? People say, yeah, absolutely. You're crazy. I can't believe you're saying these things. Someone has to. Okay? Or else people are just going to keep. They're getting exactly what they want. Do you really want to be in an internal revolution and civil war? I know it's probably inevitable. Okay? But do you want to be not necessarily a cause of it, but do you want to be in a position where you're choosing sides over this kind of stupidity? Like Ben Faircloth always said before, stay neutral, man. Be on Jesus' side. You need to be on the side of Jesus Christ. All right? Don't be picking sides on this. People's like, I'm not picking sides. I'm staying out of it. Right now. You wait, though. Because if it's not this, it'll be something else that makes people hate each other and divide people even more. People's love is growing cold. We are in lawlessness, and sin abounds. I'm just about done with this, but I got one other thing that I was thinking of about this whole thing. Isn't there a verse in Revelation? I'm not exactly sure where it is, but there's like a verse in Revelation, because I'm finally about home and can go to bed. All right? There's a verse in Revelation. I don't remember exactly where it is. Maybe Revelation chapter 13 or something. It's like referring to the Antichrist. Well, you know, something like he deceived the world with his sorceries or something like that. The Antichrist, the false prophet. Help me on this, correct me or whatever. Something about he deceived the world with his sorceries. Well, what do you think the sorceries are? And it's interesting to me that Shaking My Head Productions. I mentioned this before, and I don't know the guy. I don't know. I barely knew the channel. I just happened to turn on YouTube on the TV where I got more notifications, and they say recommended videos that I may have missed, and that was one of them. Was a call for an uprising, hive mind about what really happened on the stage with the guy on 9/10, and and what the truth is of that whole thing. That was part of it. But then there was another video from Shaking My Head Productions, and in the very beginning, he shows clips from the movie The Prestige, like I talked about. I was like, whoa, yeah, with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale and Scarlett Johansson, like I mentioned. Excellent film. People should watch it, And he's and I was like, yeah, because they deceive people with their sorceries. It wasn't necessarily magic, even though they call it movie magic. It's more deception and special effects, but it deceives people by making people think something's real when it really isn't. So it's more of an illusion than anything else. And so they're showing clips from that, and they show clips from an old Sherlock Holmes series talking about Freemasonry with Christopher Plummer, the late actor Christopher Plummer playing Sherlock Holmes, and then they showed clips, I think it was from the movie The Man Who Would Be King, which I've never seen, I've just heard a whole lot about, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, absolutely, we've seen this movie before. But people don't remember. They have convenient and selective amnesia, and they don't remember, or they don't want to remember. So they'd rather believe the lie. They'd rather believe what's right in front of them without researching it any further, saying, this is exactly what happened because this is what I want to believe, and this is what they're selling us, and this is what they're telling us. And our government definitely wouldn't lie to us. Faux news, the fools on the couch, definitely with Brian Kilmeade, who wants to kill all of the homeless people and drug addicts or whatever, just get rid of them, they definitely wouldn't lie to us. They definitely would not, sit there on their couch in their nice air-conditioned studio or whatever, and so they can write their next book and give us false information. No, they would never do that. They've taken some kind of oath, media oath or whatever, right? And they would always tell us the truth. They would never try to deceive us, never try to lie to us. Of course, I'm being facetious and sarcastic here. But I mean, come on. We're all adults here. Why can't people act like an adult? And just say, okay, if you don't want to watch the video, then don't watch the video, all right? But don't say, oh, I don't agree with this. And it's just like, dude, you didn't even watch it. How can you agree or disagree with something you didn't even take the time to watch? At least watch it and then make an assessment from there, and then decide whether you think it's true or false from there. But at least take the time to watch it, especially if somebody's going to take the time, like I did, to send it to practically every freaking person on my contact list. Most of them didn't have the decency to respond, and the others that did, at least they responded in a way, one way or another. But it's like, and I know nobody asked me to do that or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? Then stay deceived. If that's what you want, then stay deceived. That's your choice. If that's what you want, go ahead and do that. But when people take the time and they're really trying to save lives, and they're really trying to save people from being completely divided and hating and killing each other, then they're not the enemy. They're the ones that have discernment. And I'm not speaking about myself necessarily, speaking about these other people that are putting their butts on the line and putting their information out there because they have discernment, and they don't just take everything at face value because they know the government lies, they know the politicians lie, they know the media lies. It doesn't matter if it's the conservative or the non-conservative or the left or the right. They are all liars because they have an agenda to fulfill and a narrative to preach. So they are all liars. Why people can't get this after I don't know how many fake, false events is beyond me. But I'm going to go now. Check out FX. Check out The Prestige. Check out the videos and the channels that I told people to check out. And like I said, some people really did disappoint me. Not that that matters one way or the other, but I was like, man, I really thought you were smarter than this. I really thought you had more discernment than this. I really, really did. But I guess not. And this is why you don't put your trust in man or woman. You put your trust in God. Cursed is the man who trusts in man. You trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 has never been more true in my life than it is right now. And hopefully in yours too. You know, because I don't know what else to say. I mean, people are doing their best to try to help as many people as possible. And I guess people would rather believe the beautiful lie, you know, because that's what makes them feel good. And if you want to mourn over somebody that you didn't even know, go ahead. I mourn over people I know. I mourn over people I care about. I mourn over people. Well, where's the mourning over the children in Gaza? Where's the mourning over the mass genocide throughout the world? Where's the mourning over the homeless that have disappeared and nobody knows where they're at? Where's the mourning over the drug addicts in Kensington? You know? Where's the mourning for them? Oh no. But let's cart this guy out, and because he supposedly gets, you know, taken out on national television, the nation is in mourning. Let's lower our flags. Give me a break, man. Where's the mourning over all the veterans that kill themselves, 22 a month? Where's the mourning for them? How come the flag isn't lowered for them? Or how about the real politicians that supposedly took an oath to serve their country or whatever? I don't know. Their city, their community, I don't know. But where's the mourning for them? Why wasn't the flag lowered for them? People see you need to start asking questions. But people don't want to ask questions. They don't care. So, anyway, that's it. I'm home now. This is long enough. It's almost an hour. Thank you for your attention. If you listened, if you cared to listen, if you unsubscribed, God bless. Take care. You know, no hard feelings. I get it. You know, my subscriber base has been like the stock market before it hit all-time highs. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I say things that people like, it goes up. I say things people don't like, it goes down. People are fickle. Up and down, up and down, up and down. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, it's just something that I notice because, you know, it comes up and people bring it to my attention too. It's like, oh, you went up today. You went down today. It's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Truth is truth. People like it. They don't like it. It doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. The truth doesn't care whether you like it or you don't like it. It's the truth. So, find it. Find it for yourself if you desire to, if you want to. Do your own homework. Do your own research. I've probably said it 1,000,000 times. And above all else, though, love each other. Don't hate each other. Don't become divided over stupidity and a hoax and, you know, something that they just roll out in front of us that make people hate each other for stupid reasons. And I don't hardly hear anybody saying anything about that. Now, they'll say things about a lot of other things, and they'll talk about, you know, how people are more divided and they hate each other or whatever. But I don't hear anybody talking about we just need to love each other the way Jesus told us to love each other. Maybe a few people, but not too many people. You know? No. They would rather be divided and they would rather hate each other over a hoax. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.